At Sports Insight, we can't wait for the NFL season to get started again. The NFL draft and free agency has us absolutely fired up. Unfortunately, we still have to wait a few months. But that doesn't mean we can't already start looking at storylines for the upcoming season. For example, there are several stars in the league on the cusp of setting NFL records in some of the biggest statistical categories. Who's close, you ask? Well, let's get right into it. And to start things off, let's discuss one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, Aaron Rodgers. Since Rodgers didn't earn a starting job until age 25, he ranks outside the top 5 in career passing yards. There were high hopes that he could climb the all-time ladder last season in his first year with the Jets. However, a devastating Achilles tear ended his season in the first quarter of his first game. But Rodgers has made a strong commitment to making a full recovery and starting for the New York Jets in the 2024 season. At age 40 and coming off a serious injury, we might need to temper our expectations of what type of numbers Rodgers can put up in a full season for the Jets. But the guy's still a legend, and we definitely shouldn't count him out. In his last full season with Green Bay, Rodgers threw for 3,695 yards and 26 touchdowns. If he replicates those numbers, he'd pass Dan Marino and move into 8th all-time in career passing yards. With that said, if he passes for over 3,737 yards, he'd move into 7th all-time by passing Matt Ryan. And in the unlikely scenario that he returns to peak and throws for 4,385 passing yards next season, he would pass Phillip Rivers and move into 6th. In terms of touchdowns, Rodgers would need to throw 33 of them to match Brett Favre for 4th on the all-time list, a player we all know he'd love to surpass in the rankings. But Rodgers isn't the only player looking to move up the charts this season. His former wide receiver Davante Adams is quickly climbing the all-time receiving touchdown rankings. The wideout, who now plays for the Raiders, has caught 95 touchdowns thus far throughout his career. And at age 31, there's no reason to think he can't contribute for several more seasons at a high level. Last year, Adams only caught 8 touchdowns. It was his lowest total in a healthy season since 2015. Still, if he can put up similar totals again this season, he'll move up into elite company. With just 6 touchdowns this season, Adams would pass legends including Don Hudson, Steve Largent, and Tim Brown and move into sole possession of the 9th spot all time. But with time still on his side, you can bet that he's already eyeing names even higher on the list. If he continues to produce and can score 35 more touchdowns before his retirement, he could pass Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Larry Fitzgerald, Marvin Harrison, and Chris Carter to move into 4th on the all-time list. Now, wouldn't that be something? But he's not chasing legends, he's also racing one of his peers. Because Bucs wideout Mike Evans, who's about 7 months younger than Adams, is also catching touchdowns at a torrid pace. In fact, after catching 13 touchdowns last year, Evans closed the gap between he and Adams. Now Evans has 94 career touchdown receptions, only 1 less than Adams, and will be racing him neck and neck in their pursuit of the greatest legends to ever play the position. If you were unaware of these two superstars' placement in NFL history, you should start keeping your eyes peeled, because this will soon be one of the biggest storylines in the entire league. In terms of running backs, Derrick Henry's chasing the record books as well. The bruising back is coming off a 12 rushing touchdown season with the Titans. By the time the season was finished, Henry found himself tied with Eric Dickerson and Curtis Martin at 13th all-time in the category. But there's good reason to believe that he could soar up the rankings this year. Henry signed with the Baltimore Ravens, who have one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. And if you think that Lamar Jackson's presence should hinder Henry's touchdown totals, you might be mistaken. Last year, Gus Edwards scored 13 rushing touchdowns for Baltimore. If Henry can score just 11 rushing touchdowns this upcoming season, he'd surpass Marshall Faulk, Barry Sanders, and Sean Alexander to move into 8th all-time. At age 29, there's no reason to think Henry shouldn't be able to do so. But if he can stay healthy and perform for 3 more seasons at a high level, Derrick Henry could potentially move as high as 3rd all-time in career rushing yards. He'd need to score more than 33 touchdowns on the ground to take Marcus Allen's spot on the all-time charts before he retires. But it's not just offensive players looking to break records. Defensive stars often don't get their fair share of recognition, possibly because their stats are less commonly tracked in fantasy football leagues. But we give credit where credit is due, and some of these lockdown athletes are chasing history. For example, many people don't realize that cornerback Marcus Peters was chasing history before his career took a turn for the worse. In 2019, Peters finished his third consecutive All-Pro season and the fifth of his career. At age 26, he already accumulated 6 pick-sixes and was halfway to Rod Woodson's all-time record. But since then, Peters has fallen to injuries and underperformance. Last year, he did take 1 interception back to the house for a touchdown before getting released by the Raiders midseason. Still, at age 31, Peters has taken 7 interceptions back to the house for touchdowns throughout his career. He remains a free agent, but it seems probable that a team will take a chance on him in 2024. If he can record 1 more pick-six before his career finishes, it would move him into elite company, tied for 8th all-time. If he can catch 2, it'd tie him for 5th in NFL history. But when discussing pick-sixes, we'd be remiss not to mention Cowboys defensive back Deron Bland, because last season he broke the all-time record with 5 pick-sixes in a single season. And now, at age 24, he's the one primed to move into elite company if he can continue to make big-time plays for the boys in blue. In terms of tackles, Davante David is chasing history while playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 34-year-old just signed a fresh 1-year deal worth $9 million, so we know he's expected to continue to play his role in the middle of the Bucs defense. David currently ranks 11th all-time in tackles, and after recording 86 in just 15 games last season, there's no reason to think he's slowing down yet. David needs just 100 tackles before he retires to move into 4th all-time on the leaderboard, which, barring injury, seems inevitable. What will be a taller task would be 350 tackles before he retires. But if he continues to play at a high level, it's definitely possible. That would move him past London Fletcher for 2nd all-time in the category. Could he catch Ray Lewis to become the all-time leader? Well, that seems highly unlikely. David would need 533 more tackles before retirement to reach that feat, but you never know. Let's see if he can stay healthy. So the question remains, are there any players currently in the league that could set a new record in any major stat? Well, yes, there sure is, because Aaron Donald already ranks 3rd all-time with 176 tackles for losses in his career. At age 31, Donald remains a Pro Bowler. Last season alone, the beastly Rams lineman recorded 16 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. So heading into the season, he needs 19 more to tie J.J. Watt for 2nd all-time in the category. Is there any chance he could catch Terrell Suggs to become the all-time leader before the end of the season? It's highly unlikely. He'd need 26 this year, and his career high is 25, which he recorded way back in 2018. But still, with his level of dominance, there's no reason to believe he won't break the all-time record before the end of his career. So keep your eyes wide open when these players step on the field next season, because even though team success comes first, you can bet that these guys are well aware of their opportunities to rewrite history. And we want to know what you guys think. Which of these players are most likely to climb the all-time leaderboards this season? Let us know in the comments section, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sports news and insights. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.